Hi, Phil with XenonSupply.com. Today we have a 2011 Hyundai Elantra. We'll be installing HIDs on the low beam. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and get started. Let's take a look at what we'll need to perform this installation. What we have here is the H11 HID conversion kit from XenonSupply.com. Today we're using a standard kit with a slim ballast upgrade. We are using the 9006 style accessory wiring harness to wire directly from the battery. And it does come with included mounting brackets as well as 3M mounting tape. Let's take a look at the tools we'll need for this installation. What we have here is just a Phillips head screwdriver, a socket and socket wrench, 10mm and 12mm. We'll today be using the 3-inch extension arm, not a requirement. We have some wire cutters, a drill, and a 1-inch unibit to drill into your dust covers for your wiring. The first thing we need to do for this installation is remove the headlight housing from the vehicle to get better access to the halogen bulb. To do so, we'll be removing the 12mm bolt from up top and the two 10mm bolts from the bottom, as well as removing the headlight connector here before pulling this unit out. Let's go ahead and do that now. Now to remove the headlight housing, you're going to be pulling back and pulling forward or pulling up to get this one out. Now that we have the headlight housing removed, we can go ahead and remove the low beam halogen bulb. To do so, you'll take the H11 bulb, turn it counterclockwise, wait for it to snap, and pull away gently. With the bulb out, you can release the two clips on the side and put the bulb somewhere safe. Now, because your HIDs have wires that extend beyond the headlight housing, there's a grommet provided, and we'll be drilling a 1-inch hole into the headlight housing cover to allow the wires access. We'll be using the 1-inch unibit. You can also use a 1-inch hole saw available at any hardware store. You want to secure the grommet in place by feeding half of it through to get a nice seal around the bulb. There you go, nice and tight. Now that we have the dust cover drilled and our wiring through, we'll go ahead and install the new HID bulb. Remove the foam protective pieces. Now you want to line up the 3 tabs. There's 2 smaller ones and one larger one. In the headlight housing, there's a groove for a larger one here and the 2 smaller ones. When you insert, line them up. And twist clockwise to secure it in place. Once it's secure, you'll need to connect the 2 power wires, or the power and ground wire, to the original headlight connector. Now the original headlight connector is both yellow wires, so you don't know which one's positive and negative. So we're going to put them up here, just choosing at random. And later on the installation, we'll test to see which way is correct and reverse it if we have to. To put the dust cover back on, take your wires and pull them in. Once you're close enough, you can twist and lock it in place. Installation is the same for the passenger side. With the headlight housings removed, we can go ahead and install the accessory wiring harness that connects directly to your battery for power. As you can see, we already have one laying across the chassis here. On the passenger side, you have the power for the ballast and the ground wire. Leading across the stock radiator over to the airbox, we have the signal connector, the power wire that goes to the terminal here, and the power wire for the ballast, as well as its ground wire. Let's go ahead and put this one together. For the purpose of this installation, we're going to show you two methods in which you can mount the standard slim ballast. On the driver's side, we're going to be using the included mounting bracket and mounting it using the 10mm bolt here holding the fender liner to the chassis. On the passenger side, we're going to be showing you how to use a 3M double-sided tape to mount it to the frame of the chassis inside the engine bay. Let's go ahead and do that now. Now we're going to be using this bolt for the ground wire as well. So first we'll thread it through the ground wire, then through the mounting bracket, feed our wires through, and place it back in its hole. Now that it's secure, we'll bring the wires back down, connect the power wire here to the power wire to the ballast, and make sure that our ground wire is secure to the chassis for a good connection. On the passenger side, we're going to show you how to use the 3M mounting pad for installation of the ballast. We've selected this area right here on the frame. Just take a cloth, make sure your surface is clean so you get the best possible connection. Peel back one side of the 3M tape. Stick it to the back side of the ballast. Give it some pressure so you make sure it's secure. And this is going to be installed with the wires towards the engine in this location right here. Let's peel back the tape and secure it in place. Press down to make sure it's secure. That's all you have to do. With our wiring in place, we can now put the headlight housing back into the vehicle. A couple things to note. You want to make your connections here first before putting the headlight housing on so you have enough space to work. The two power wires coming from the HID bulb connect to the ones from the ballast, male and female. And the signal wire coming from the bulb connects to the signal wire from the harness. This connection only needs to be made on one side, on the driver's side, this connector will not be used on the passenger side. In addition, if you're having flickering issues, you can use the anti-flicker capacitor, wire it in between the signal connectors here to ensure that the relay is getting enough power to power the HID system. Now there is a trick to getting this headlight housing back on. You need to force this corner past the wall and then pull it back once it's in to lower it down. There's a clip here and here underneath that have to snap into place before you can get your two 10mm bolts and your 12mm bolt to secure the headlight housing back into the chassis. As we mentioned before, on the passenger side, you will not be using the signal connector here because you're running power directly from the wiring harness. You will, however, need to connect the HID power wires coming from the bulb. Let's go ahead and get this one in. Remember, you have to get this one over the lip of the front bumper, push it back, and then push it forward again. With the passenger side headlight housing in, let's go ahead and get our connection set. We have the two HID wires coming from the bulb, connecting to the ballast, male end to female end. Make sure they snap into place. We have the factory harness that connects back to the headlight housing here. And make sure that you have, from the ballast, the signal wire coming from the accessory wiring harness here. Go ahead and test to make sure everything works correctly. Turn on the low beams here. We'll test the high beams out. And we got our turn signals. Left side looks good. All right, looks like everything's working correctly.